Hey guys, today we are making delicious fruit tart. First, let's make from Toutclust. It's super simple. In a mixing bowl, add all-purpose flour, powdered sugar, almond flour, salt, and mix them lightly. Cut butter into cubes. It's very important to use cold butter. And mix until it looks very sandy. Like this, it almost looks like almond flour. And add egg. By coating butter all around the flour ahead, you can avoid liquids and flour from bonding too much, which create delicate light crunchiness for the crust. And mix until it forms a ball, like this. Make sure that it's even. And I like to divide it in half and form them into desirable shapes. And roll like this to make them flat. That way you can roll easier later. And chill them in the fridge for at least 1 hour to 2 hours or more. I like to cut it in half to roll easier and dust bread flour on the working surface, the dough and the tools so that they're not gonna stick together. And at the beginning, push it gently like this to wake it up and make it softer. When you vigorously try to roll the cold dough, it cracks horribly. And once it gets soft enough, you can roll. Turn it 90 degrees each time you roll and check if it's not sticking to the working surface and dust more flour if you need to. And I highly recommend rolling it very thinly into 2 to 3 millimeter. It makes a huge difference. It creates such a delicate, light crunchiness. You can also roll on parchment paper like this, or sandwich the dough with parchment papers like this. Try one of the options as you like. And pierce the dough with a special tool like this, or just simply use a fork. You can also do this after you set it in molds. When the dough is soft, it's a lot more fragile, so try to move quick so that the dough is not going to fall apart. And press the side and corners with thumb and make sure that they are fit completely. Or chill the rolled dough before you set in the mold. That way you can finish the process with less sweat and stress. And try not to touch the dough too much with your hands so that the butter in the dough does not melt partially. In the past, I made a master crust tutorial all about the Toutclust. So if you want to get a little bit deeper about this topic, check out the video. And you can correct all the tiny pieces of scrubs and roll again. And finally, cut off the edge with a knife or dough scraper to create a clean, sharp look. And chill them completely in the fridge or freezer so that the shape stays better in the oven. This is so important. The dough slides down more in the oven if you skip this. And bake at 350 Fahrenheit, which is 176 Celsius, until they look golden brown. Adjust the time and temperature depending on the oven and the size and thickness of your crust. Today I made 1 batch of the dough, and this is how much you can get from 1 batch. You can make a half batch or less as you like, or make 1 batch and store the rest in the freezer for later use. To make the filling, first we're gonna make pastry cream. In the pot, add milk, vanilla beans, and half of the sugar, and heat them at medium heat. Meanwhile, mix egg yolks and granulated sugar together until it looks very pale. Next, add cornstarch and all-purpose flour, salt, and mix well until it looks smooth. Scrape off the side and make sure you don't see any flour at this point. And once the milk started simmering, remove from the heat. First, add a little bit and mix really well until it looks smooth. And slowly add the rest as you mix. Once it looks even, pour it back into a pot. And now we're gonna start heating it at medium heat. And this is the most crucial time for pastry cream. Here are the 3 rules about how to mix pastry cream. 1, constantly. 2, fast. And 3, evenly. Try to focus on those 3 and you'll have a better chance of creating smooth, shiny pastry cream. You can continue heating, but if you're a beginner, I recommend removing from the heat once it started getting thickened a little bit like this, and mix really well until it looks very smooth. And heat it again at medium heat. By doing it, you can make smooth pastry cream a little bit easier. Now it started boiling and it looks very thick, but don't stop yet. Keep going. And eventually it's gonna look shinier and looser like this. That means the starch and flour is cooked slow. With one batch, it usually takes about 1 minute. And this is optional, but add butter to add more richness. And strain it. When you don't cook starch and flours enough, the pastry cream is gonna be looser, it's not gonna be so smooth, and you can kind of taste flour a little bit. And lastly, if you have a hand blender, mix it with it at the very end to emulsify everything completely. And this makes a huge difference. It makes the pastry cream extra smoother. So I highly recommend doing so if you have it. And wrap directly so that it's not going to touch air, and chill in the fridge until it cools down completely. You can flip off like that when the starch and flour is cooked enough. It looks very thick right now, but don't worry. Simply mix again with a spatula or with the mixer until it looks smooth and shiny again. So you can finish right here and use this pastry cream as the filling, and it tastes amazing. But today I'm gonna add a little bit of whipped cream to it. I love it. It adds the creaminess and fluffiness, and it just tastes so good. So if you haven't tried it yet, please do. Use a very stiff whipped cream so that the cream stays nice and thick. Don't pipe around the edge too much so that it's not gonna come out later. And pipe high toward the center so that your fruit decorations gets more volume later. And this is how much you can fill from one batch of the filling. Use any of your favorite fruit to decorate on top. I usually decorate from bigger fruits first and fill the gap with smaller fruits. And by creating the volume and make it look like mountain, it looks even more gorgeous. And heat apricot jam and water together, mix and strain it. And we're gonna tap and apply the nappage on top of the fruits to give some shine. This is gonna be the highlight for the makeup. It'll make them look fabulous. It also prevents fruits from getting dried quickly and help them to stick each other so that they're not gonna fall easily. Enjoy!
It tastes like cinnamon.
Cinnamon?
Yeah, it tastes like cinnamon. Just a little bit. Look, give me the pizza.
It looks like pizza.
Can I have more, please?
Store in an airtight container in the fridge, and once you fill the cream in the crust, I do not recommend storing it in the freezer. It is possible to eat in like 5 days, but I do not recommend it. The crust slowly soak up the moisture from the filling and it's gonna get more soggy, and the fruit is not gonna be as fresh as the beginning. So fresh fruit tarts is something that's not gonna last for a long time if you are thinking about the best taste. I highly recommend consuming it within that day, and if it's possible, I highly recommend filling the cream right before you serve. That way you don't have to worry about the soggy crust. Store in an airtight container with the silica gel inside, just to make sure that there will be no moistures in it. If you cannot get it, after you store them, you can bake them for a very short time to release some of the excess moistures. And this tip also applies when you want to store them in the freezer as well. And you can store the dough for up to 5 days in the fridge or a few months in the freezer. And don't forget to check out my pastry cream tutorial and the Toutclust master crust tutorial as well. And check out the blog post as well and get the printable recipe. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy pastry living, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.